Have you ever caught yourself feeling something you knew you shouldn't? Something so forbidden, it could destroy everything you hold dear? That's exactly where I was. I never imagined it would happen to me. But I fell in love with my partner's brother, and from the very first moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same. At first, it was subtle. Just a glance, a fleeting smile, a spark that made my heart skip a beat. I tried to ignore it, tried to convince myself it meant nothing. But the feeling grew, quietly at first, then steadily consuming me. Every thought, every small interaction with him started to feel heavier, loaded with unspoken meaning. I asked myself questions I hated answering. Why am I feeling this? Is this just a crush? Or something more dangerous? The guilt was immediate, like a cold hand on my chest. I loved my partner. I promised loyalty, honesty, and trust. Yet, my heart refused to listen. I was trapped in a storm of feelings I couldn't control. And it wasn't just a passing attraction. There was a connection that pulled me in, one that made ordinary conversations feel intimate, ordinary glances feel electric. Every time I was near him, I felt an undeniable tension, a forbidden thrill I had no idea how to handle. Could you imagine hiding a feeling that could destroy your relationship, your family, your entire life? That's where I was, walking a tightrope between desire and guilt, not knowing which side would win. And then came the first real test. One evening, we were left alone for a few moments. A casual conversation, a shared laugh, and I felt it. That spark was no longer just a spark. It was a warning, a whisper that this attraction wasn't going away. My mind screamed caution, but my heart didn't care. If you think this is where the story gets easy, you're wrong. This was only the beginning. Every choice from here on would carry the weight of forbidden love, hidden secrets, and consequences I wasn't ready to face. If you want to see how this shocking story ends, don't forget to subscribe. Trust me, the twists coming next will make your jaw drop. Life looked normal on the outside. My partner and I were happy. Or at least I thought we were. We had routines, laughter, shared plans, everything that painted the picture of a perfect relationship. But beneath that surface, something dangerous was brewing, something I couldn't ignore. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe I was imagining things. But then, small moments started to stand out. The way his brother laughed at my jokes, remembering details no one else noticed. The casual touches, brief but lingering, that sent shivers down my spine. Every ordinary moment started to feel loaded with meaning, and I began questioning my own sanity. I found myself analyzing every encounter. Why did his eyes linger on me a little too long? Why did he smile in a way that seemed private, like it was just for me? I hated myself for noticing these things, for letting my mind wander down dangerous paths. Yet, no matter how much I tried to stop, I couldn't. And then came the family gatherings. Moments I thought would be safe became unbearable. Sitting across the table, I could feel his gaze like a magnetic pull. Every shared laugh, every brush of hands across a table, made my heart race. I tried to focus on my partner, on conversations, on anything to distract myself, but the tension was suffocating. Could you imagine the stress of hiding a growing attraction in plain sight? Every smile I gave him, every joke I laughed at, became a test of control. Every glance I caught from him whispered a secret that neither of us dared to say aloud. And just when I thought I could handle it, I realized he was noticing me too. A slight smirk, a teasing glance, a subtle gesture that hinted he might feel the same way. Panic and exhilaration collided in my chest. Was it real, or was my mind playing tricks on me? I started questioning my own morality. How far could I go without crossing a line? Every thought was a battle between guilt and desire. Every decision seemed critical. And yet, every small interaction pulled me deeper into temptation. The most dangerous part? My partner had no idea. They trusted me completely, leaving me alone with emotions I could barely manage. And in that trust, the tension grew. Each moment with his brother became a trap, every shared laugh a potential disaster waiting to happen. By the end of that week, I realized I was no longer just resisting a crush. The attraction had become something much more dangerous, something that could unravel everything I had built, everything I loved. And I didn't know how long I could keep walking this fine line. It started with a single, fleeting moment that I couldn't shake, a glance across the room, a laugh shared in a way that felt private. As if the world had disappeared around us, my heart raced. And I hated myself for noticing. Yet, there it was, a pull I couldn't resist, no matter how hard I tried. Every interaction with him began to feel different. Ordinary conversations became charged, casual touches lingered too long. And every smile carried a weight I couldn't ignore. I tried to focus on my partner, on the life I had promised to honor, but the magnetic pull toward his brother made every choice feel like walking on a tightrope. I started catching myself daydreaming about him. Questions I dreaded surfaced. Does he feel the same way? Am I imagining it? Could this attraction actually be mutual? Guilt and desire collided. And every thought was a battle I couldn't win. There were moments that made my pulse spike, a shared joke no one else understood, a lingering touch when our hands accidentally met, a glance that felt deliberate, like a secret was passing between us. Each moment whispered temptation. And the more I tried to resist, the stronger it became. And then came the first sign that maybe he wasn't resisting either. A look that lingered, a smile that seemed meant only for me, a subtle gesture that hinted he felt the same pull. My chest tightened, panic and excitement swirling together. I knew I had crossed an invisible line, and yet, I couldn't step back. Could you imagine feeling a connection so strong it defies logic, yet knowing it's forbidden? That's exactly where I was. Every heartbeat reminded me of the risk, yet the thrill made it impossible to stop. I began questioning everything I knew about myself, my morals, and my loyalty. Could a single attraction, hidden in secret, be so consuming? Could a momentary glance become the start of something I couldn't control? The tension escalated with every encounter. I could feel it building, like a storm brewing quietly in the background. And then, just when I thought I had it under control, something happened that changed everything. A word, a gesture, a shared look. It was subtle, but it hit me like a punch. He noticed me. Really noticed me. And that realization sent my heart racing, and my mind spiraling. Nothing would ever be the same. The line between right and wrong, love and temptation, had blurred forever. The guilt was crushing. Every time I saw him, my heart betrayed me. Every smile, every laugh, every accidental touch became a battle between desire and morality. I hated myself for feeling this way, yet I couldn't stop. It was like being trapped in a storm I couldn't escape. I started overthinking every moment. Why did his eyes linger on me? Was it just my imagination? Or was he feeling the same pull? I asked myself questions I didn't want to answer. Am I crossing a line I can never come back from? What will happen if my partner ever finds out? The fear and excitement collided in my chest, leaving me breathless. Every interaction became a test. Simple conversations felt loaded with meaning, casual touches sent my mind racing. And secret glances felt electric. The tension was intoxicating. And it terrified me. I was addicted to the danger, even as I knew it could destroy everything I loved. And yet, I tried to resist. I avoided lingering near him, I kept conversations short, I forced my mind elsewhere, but every time, something pulled me back. A joke, a shared look, a fleeting moment of connection. And suddenly, my carefully built walls crumbled. Could you imagine wanting something so badly that you knew it was wrong? Wanting someone who could ruin your life with just a glance? That was my reality. Every heartbeat reminded me that this forbidden attraction wasn't just a passing crush, it was consuming me, shaping my every thought and decision. The guilt was mirrored in my thoughts. I replayed every interaction, wondering if I had been too obvious, too eager, too reckless. Every time, I felt the weight of the secret pressing down on me. I knew one slip, one accidental moment, could expose everything. And then came a moment that nearly broke me. A small, accidental touch that lingered just long enough to ignite panic. My chest tightened. Did he feel it too? Or was it all in my head? I didn't know. And that uncertainty was maddening. It became clear that I couldn't trust myself to stay distant. The attraction was too strong, the connection too undeniable. Every day, every interaction, every glance drew me deeper into temptation. And the more I resisted, the more intense it became. By the end of this period, I realized something terrifying. This was no longer just a secret crush. It had become a storm. And there was no safe place to hide. The line between desire and loyalty was gone. And I was walking a tightrope over a chasm I couldn't see the bottom of. The tension was building, the danger increasing. And I knew that sooner or later, one careless moment would change everything. And I wasn't sure if I was ready for the consequences. It was impossible to ignore anymore. Every glance, every laugh, every shared moment seemed loaded with meaning. I tried to convince myself it was harmless, just a fleeting spark, but the truth was undeniable. There was a connection between us, one that neither of us could, or wanted to, resist. Even ordinary moments felt electric. Sitting across from him at dinner, I could feel his eyes on me. A joke meant for everyone else felt like it was just for me. The tension was almost unbearable. And I hated how much I craved it. I knew it was wrong, yet every instinct pulled me closer. And then came the first hint that maybe I wasn't imagining it. A subtle smile, a lingering gaze, a small gesture that seemed intentional. Panic and exhilaration collided in my chest. Was he feeling the same way? Or was it all in my head? The uncertainty made every encounter feel like a dangerous game. I started questioning my own morality constantly. Could I resist the temptation? Or was it already too late? Every thought was a battle between loyalty and desire. And I was losing. Every time I laughed at his jokes a little too long or let my eyes meet his, I felt like I was stepping closer to a point of no return. Could you imagine having a secret that could destroy everything you love? That's exactly where I was. Every interaction was a tightrope walk, and one misstep could ruin everything. The thrill of danger was intoxicating. But the guilt was suffocating. And just when I thought I could manage it, a small slip nearly exposed me. A shared look that lingered too long, a laugh that was too private, it was enough to make my heart race and my stomach twist. My mind was screaming caution. But my body refused to listen. The attraction had grown too strong to ignore. I could no longer pretend it didn't exist. And every day, every moment, every glance intensified the risk. The line between right and wrong had blurred completely. And I was losing control. By the end of that week, I realized one thing with terrifying clarity: this wasn't just a crush or a passing feeling. It had become something dangerous, something forbidden, something that could ruin lives. And I didn't know how to stop it. The tension was escalating, the stakes were higher than ever. And I knew that soon, one careless moment would set everything in motion. And I wasn't ready for what was coming next. I thought I had been careful. I thought my secrets were safe, but secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks. One afternoon, I felt it, the first real brush with danger. A look my partner gave me, a question that seemed casual but was loaded with suspicion. My chest tightened. And panic flooded me. I tried to act normal, tried to focus on ordinary tasks. But my mind was racing. Every glance toward him, every accidental touch, every small interaction felt like a test I was failing. I realized that hiding the attraction wasn't enough anymore. The tension was growing. And it was only a matter of time before it exploded. Then came the note. Small, cryptic, and terrifying. We need to talk. Alone. I didn't know who it was from at first. But the moment I read it, my heart froze. My mind raced through every possibility. Had my partner figured it out? Had someone else noticed? The uncertainty was paralyzing. When we finally met, the air was thick with tension. Words were cautious, glances loaded with meaning. I realized he had been feeling it too, the attraction, the guilt, the danger. And suddenly, it wasn't just a secret I was hiding, it was something we were both trapped in. I tried to pull back, to regain control. But every moment with him pulled me deeper. The more I resisted, the stronger the connection became. The thrill, the danger, the forbidden tension, it was intoxicating, impossible to ignore. Could you imagine the fear of almost being exposed? The panic of realizing someone might know your deepest secret? That's where I was. Every heartbeat reminded me that one slip could ruin everything I had, everything I loved. And the stakes weren't just emotional anymore. My partner's suspicion was growing, subtle but undeniable. Friends were starting to notice little things, questions that hinted they were onto us. Every safe moment felt like walking on a knife's edge. By the end of that week, I realized the danger wasn't just in my feelings, it was in how visible they were becoming. Every look, every laugh, every accidental touch could betray me. And I was powerless to stop it. The tension was building. And I knew that soon, one careless moment would change everything. I just didn't know when, or how devastating it would be. It happened when I least expected it. A quiet evening, a moment alone with him. And the tension became unbearable. Every word we spoke, every glance, felt electric. My heart raced. And my mind screamed caution. And my body refused to listen. The attraction we had tried to ignore was impossible to deny. We laughed, joked, and shared stories like nothing else existed. But beneath the surface, a dangerous current ran between us. Every touch lingered just a second too long. Every smile held a secret meaning. I knew we were teetering on the edge, yet neither of us could step back. I couldn't stop asking myself, am I crossing a line I'll never be able to come back from? What will happen if my partner ever finds out? The questions were impossible to ignore. And yet, despite the guilt, the thrill of forbidden desire consumed me. Then it happened, a small, impulsive gesture. Our hands brushed, lingered. And for a moment, it felt like the world had disappeared. Panic flooded me. But so did exhilaration. I realized he had felt it too. The pull between us wasn't one-sided, it was a shared danger, a forbidden connection that neither of us could resist. Could you imagine being caught between love and desire, guilt and temptation? That's exactly where I was. Every instinct screamed to stop, every heartbeat urged caution. And yet, the thrill of breaking the rules was intoxicating. I tried to regain control, to step back, but the moment had changed everything. The connection we had ignored was now undeniable. My mind raced with what-ifs and consequences. But I couldn't bring myself to regret it. Desire had won. And the forbidden attraction had cemented itself in our lives. The danger wasn't just emotional, it was real. Every interaction after that moment became charged, every glance loaded with tension. The fear of exposure, the risk of betrayal, and the thrill of temptation combined into a storm that was impossible to calm. By the end of that night, I realized one terrifying truth: our secret wasn't just about desire anymore. It had become a force that could unravel everything: our relationships, our trust, and our lives. And from that moment, I knew there was no turning back. One small mistake, one slip of the tongue, one accidental glance, and everything we had tried to hide could explode. And I had no idea just how close we were to disaster. The tension was unbearable now. I had thought we were careful, that our secret was safe, but secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks. Small things started to give us away, glances caught too long, laughter that lingered too much, moments that made my partner suspicious. Then it happened. A friend, someone I trusted, started asking questions. Subtle at first, just casual curiosity. But it felt like the walls were closing in. Every word, every gesture between him and me suddenly seemed visible to the world. Panic and guilt collided inside me, making every heartbeat feel like a countdown to disaster. And yet, despite the fear, the attraction remained. Every interaction pulled me deeper into danger. I couldn't stop thinking about him, couldn't ignore the thrill of our connection, no matter how reckless it had become. The forbidden nature of it all made each encounter more intense, more addictive, more impossible to resist. Could you imagine hiding a secret this dangerous, knowing one misstep could destroy everything? Every moment was a test, every glance a potential betrayal. I knew that the more we tried to resist, the harder it became to control. And the more I saw him feeling the same tension, the more it frightened me. The real shock came when I discovered a truth I hadn't expected. Something he had been keeping from me, a secret that explained some of his distant behavior, some of the subtle pushes and pulls I hadn't understood. Suddenly, everything shifted. The attraction wasn't just dangerous, it was tangled in past secrets that made it even more complicated. My partner's suspicion was growing too. Subtle hints, questions, and fleeting looks told me they were noticing more than they let on. One wrong word, one careless action, and our secret would be exposed. The guilt was suffocating, the stakes higher than ever. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the tension escalated again. Every glance at him, every casual touch, carried the risk of exposure. The attraction had become a dangerous game, one we were both losing without even realizing it. By the end of this week, I understood the terrifying truth: we were playing with fire. And the consequences would be unavoidable. Every choice, every glance, every interaction could unravel everything in an instant. And I had no idea who would get burned first. I thought I had prepared for everything. I thought I knew where this forbidden connection would lead. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. It started like any other evening. But the tension was electric. My partner was out. And I was alone with his brother. Every word, every glance, felt loaded with danger. My heart raced with excitement and fear. Then my phone buzzed. A message appeared from someone I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped as I read it. Someone new. Panic surged. Had my partner discovered my secret, or had someone else seen the signs? My mind raced, trying to calculate the damage. I looked at him. And our eyes met, both of us frozen in that moment, knowing the gravity of our actions. The attraction we had tried to deny was no longer just ours, it was exposed in an instant. And then came the revelation that made everything spiral. He confessed something I hadn't expected. Not just that he had feelings for me, but a secret from his past that explained his distant moments, his subtle pushes and pulls. The truth hit me like a thunderbolt. My feelings, my guilt, my attraction, it all collided with the knowledge that he had been keeping something equally significant from me. I felt a wave of betrayal and confusion, yet I couldn't stop the pull between us. My mind screamed for caution, but my heart refused to listen. Every moment together was a delicate balance of desire and fear. And I realized the danger we were in. Then the ultimate shock, my partner walked in. Not expecting to catch anything. But their presence turned the tension into chaos. I froze. He froze. And suddenly, the truth we had tried to bury, the attraction, the stolen moments, was dangling on the edge of exposure. Could you imagine a moment where every secret, every hidden feeling, could be revealed in a single heartbeat? That's exactly what I faced. The emotional stakes, the moral stakes, the consequences of every choice, all collided at once. By the end of that night, the fallout was inevitable. The trust we had taken for granted shattered. The forbidden attraction we had tried to deny became a storm with no escape. And just when I thought it couldn't get more intense, I realized the final twist, the one that would change everything forever, was still waiting. Everything came crashing down that night. The moment my partner realized the tension, the glances, the subtle gestures, I knew there was no hiding it anymore. Their eyes were wide with disbelief, hurt, and anger all at once. My heart shattered as the consequences of my actions hit me like a freight train. He, the brother, stood silently, guilt and fear written all over him. The connection we had tried so hard to deny was now exposed. I felt trapped between two worlds, the person I love, and the person I had fallen for. Every secret, every temptation, every stolen moment had led to this catastrophic point. The confrontation was intense. My partner demanded the truth. I confessed everything, my feelings, the near moments, every secret we had tried to hide. Each word cut deep, not just for them, but for me as well. Guilt and remorse flooded me, making every heartbeat a reminder of my mistakes. And then came the twist I hadn't anticipated. My partner revealed something they had been hiding too, a fear, a doubt, a subtle insecurity that had caused distance between us. It wasn't an excuse for my actions, but it added layers of complexity to the chaos. Love, desire, betrayal, it had all become a tangled mess. We spent hours talking, crying, and trying to make sense of everything. Forgiveness seemed impossible, yet somehow, a fragile thread of hope remained. I realized that while my actions had consequences, they didn't have to define the future entirely. But rebuilding trust would take years. And even then, the memory of what happened would linger. As for him, the brother, I had to create distance. The attraction that had once been thrilling had become dangerous. Our connection had proven that some lines, once crossed, can never truly be uncrossed. I loved my partner, but the lessons from this ordeal were harsh and unforgettable. Desire can be intoxicating, but honesty and loyalty carry a weight that cannot be ignored. Looking back, I see how everything spiraled. The small glances, the secret touches, the private jokes, they all led to exposure and reckoning. The temptation had been powerful, but the consequences were devastating. Every choice we make carries the potential to change lives forever. And sometimes, the heart doesn't listen until it's too late. Could you forgive someone who loved another in secret, yet wanted to make things right? Could you survive the storm of betrayal and desire, knowing the person you trusted nearly destroyed it all? I don't have all the answers, but I know one truth: life is fragile, emotions are dangerous, but secrets are heavier than we ever realize. If this story shocked you, hit subscribe and join us for more jaw-dropping confessions. These stories will keep you on the edge of your seat.